The Candy Man. The Candy Man and the Man Who Killed Halloween. Ronald Clark O'Brien was an American man who was found guilty of killing his 8-year-old son Timothy on Halloween 1974 with a pixie sticks laced with potassium cyanide that he had acquired during a trick-or-treating outing. To obtain the life insurance payouts needed to help him pay off a $100,000 debt, O'Brien poisoned his kid. O'Brien allegedly offered his daughter and 3 other kids poisoned candies in an effort to hide his crime, but neither his daughter nor the other kids ate the tainted treats. He was found guilty of a major murder and given the death penalty in June 1975. In 1984, he was put to death via lethal injection. On October 31, 1974, O'Brien took his 2 kids trick-or-treating in a Pasadena, Texas, neighborhood. O'Brien's neighbor and his 2 kids also joined them. The kids were irritated after going to a residence where the owner didn't answer the door and hurried off to the next location, leaving O'Brien behind. He eventually caught up with them and handed them 5 21-inch, 530mm, pixie sticks that, according to him, were a gift from the renter of the ignored door. O'Brien gave Timothy and Elizabeth, as well as one to each of his neighbor's 2 children, a pixie sticks at the conclusion of the evening. O'Brien presented the 5th pixie sticks to a 10-year-old boy he knew from his church when he got home. Before going to bed, Timothy wanted to eat some of the candy he had gathered, and according to Ronald, he chose the pixie sticks. O'Brien helped Timothy by loosening the powdered candy because he was having trouble getting it out of the straw. After sampling the candy, Timothy said that it tasted bitter. O'Brien then handed his youngster Kool-Aid to take the taste away. After immediately complaining of stomach symptoms and rushing to the bathroom, Timothy started throwing up and convulsing. O'Brien later said that he held Timothy as he vomited and the child passed out in his arms. Less than an hour after consuming the candy, Timothy O'Brien passed away while en route to the hospital. After Timothy passed away as a result of Halloween candy poisoning, the town was in complete panic. Many parents in Deer Park and the surrounding area turned in the candy their children acquired during trick-or-treating to the authorities out of concern that it was contaminated with poison. Before Timothy's autopsy indicated that the pixie sticks he had ingested had been contaminated with a fatal amount of potassium cyanide, the authorities had no reason to suspect O'Brien. 4 of the 5 pixie sticks O'Brien claims to have stolen from the other children, none of whom had eaten the candy, have been found by authorities. The cops informed the parents of the 5th youngster, and they were furious when they couldn't find the candy. In a hurry, the parents went upstairs to find their sleeping child. The child struggled to remove the staples holding the wrapping together while clinging to the unfinished candy. Each pixie sticks had its top 2 inches, 51mm, replaced with cyanide powder and resealed with a staple. According to a physician who examined the pixie sticks, Timothy's candy had enough cyanide in it to kill 2 people, whilst the other 4 candies had enough to kill 3 to 4 people. O'Brien initially admitted to the police that he couldn't remember where he got the pixie sticks. The cops became suspicious since O'Brien and his neighbor had only brought their kids to 2 specific streets because it had been raining. They were further worried when they learned that none of the houses they went to had given out pixie sticks. O'Brien guided them to the residence where no one had answered the door after 3 patrols of the neighborhood with police. O'Brien asserted that he had gone back there before reuniting with the group. He asserted that although the owner of the home opened the door and gave him 5 pixie sticks, he did not turn on the lights. The owner of the residence, Courtney Melvin, said he just saw the man's arm, which he described as hairy. At William P. Hobby Airport, Melvin worked as an air traffic controller, and he didn't get home until after midnight. On October 31st, police disqualified Melvin as a suspect. His 2 kids each have $10,000 in life insurance policies, which would be worth $54,946 in 2021. In the days prior to Timothy's passing, O'Brien had purchased a second $20,000 policy on each of his children. The various insurance policies cost about $60,000 in total. Police also learned that Brian had called his insurance company the morning after Timothy's death to inquire about retrieving the policy he had purchased for his child. Police started to suspect that Ronald O'Brien had poisoned the candies in order to collect on his children's life insurance policies after discovering that O'Brien had visited a chemical supply store in Houston shortly before Halloween 1974 to buy cyanide. He left empty-handed after learning the smallest amount available for purchase was £5. They believed he tainted the candy given to the other kids in an effort to hide his crime. Police regularly questioned O'Brien, although he insisted on being innocent. Trial verdict. Friends and co-workers said that O'Brien had expressed an unusual interest in cyanide and talked about the amount needed to kill someone in the months before Timothy's death. O'Brien suggested taking a lengthy trip and purchasing other items with the money from Timothy's insurance policy on the day of his funeral, according to testimony from his sister-in-law and brother-in-law. In addition, his wife insisted that O'Brien had forced Timothy to pick the pixie sticks, and she disputed that Timothy had done so. O'Brien never wavered in his innocence. A long-standing urban legend about a mad poisoner who distributes Halloween candy was a major part of his defense. Despite the fact that there have never been any verified instances of strangers poisoning Halloween treats, many urban legends have endured. Examples include poison, needles, and candy apples with razor blades. The crime and subsequent trial received widespread media coverage, earning O'Brien the moniker the Candyman. On June 3, 1975, a jury took 46 minutes to deliberate before finding O'Brien guilty of 4 charges of attempted murder and capital murder. After 71 minutes of deliberation, the jury found him guilty of electrocuted death. Soon after his conviction, his wife filed for divorce. On June 3, 1975, a jury took 46 minutes to find O'Brien guilty of 4 charges of attempted murder and capital murder. After 71 minutes of deliberation, the jury found him guilty of electrocuted death. Soon after his conviction, his wife filed for divorce. Later in life, she got remarried, and her new husband took in her daughter Elizabeth. I would forgive all who have participated in any way in my death, as well as anyone I have offended in any way during my 39 years. I pray and ask your forgiveness, just as I forgive anyone who has offended me in any way. And I pray and ask God's forgiveness for all of us. But we as human beings do make mistakes and errors. This execution is one of those wrongs, yet doesn't mean our entire system of justice is wrong.